Seat of the soul. I don't know how to do, it's not coming up that I can do that yet. Oh. Okay. Good morning. Hi, I'm Kristen, and I am the president of CSL, and I'm here to help open sacred space with you all today. If you're on Zoom or if you're on Facebook Live, when I open the space, if you have a prayer request, we're asking that you type it into the chat now. That way, when we get to do our prayer, we have the chats all ready and all the prayers typed. Our theme for this year is 2020 Spiritual Vision. In the month of May, our focus is on listening to your heart. And today's focus is called the Seat of the Soul. Right now, we're opening our sacred space together, setting our intentions for our service and bringing our awareness to our unity and openness, which is represented by this one lit candle. Hold it here. I invite you to close your eyes as we bless this time and our service together. Together, let us recognize the divine presence that moves through all things, and know that this presence of love expresses as each of us in unique and beautiful ways. I know that we are blessed with this time together, and that we're each renewed in our remembrance of love, peace, wholeness, and connection. And I give thanks for everyone in attendance and for everyone who made our service possible today. May the energy of love that is generated here bless them and us all abundantly, and so it is. And while we're in the space of blessing, it's time for us to share prayer requests or celebrations. So you can either speak or chat it. And I'm just checking the chats.
We have a celebration. Last week we told you that our son Nathan was driving out to Oklahoma to pick up his adopted baby who was born on Tuesday. His name is Gregory, and everybody's healthy.
And he's adorable.
That's wonderful. Yay, we're so happy. Celebrating Gregory.
We have a celebration.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, we have a celebration.
Yes?
Yes, our son took his last final yesterday. So he's officially a college graduate. And for anyone who's close to us knows that it's been a real struggle with his Lyme disease, and he missed the last 2 years of high school. So this is beyond what we could have hoped for, you know, and so we're just so, so grateful.
That's wonderful. Renee, is his name John?
Tony.
Tony, okay, Tony. And I see that there's some chat requests from, let's see, for Heidi and her cat Jessie. And the cat Jessie has cancer. And then for Kirsten and her journey of self-love and healing. And for John, Heidi's John, or Tamara's John, was last exam was Wednesday. And I can't see on Facebook. Does somebody else see if there's any chats on Facebook? Okay. Okay, if you haven't spoken your prayer request now, know that it has already been heard in the divine light. And so I invite you to close your eyes and just know that this divine love is everywhere present, and it completely moves through and is and holds and is complete in all of us. We are connected by this vibration of love and complete acceptance and complete knowing. And this divine spirit is all that there is. And I allow that only good flows through this spirit because I know that this good is all there is. And I know it is present in me, and I know that it is part of all who are listening, all who are not listening, and all that are alive right now. In the multiverse, this oneness flows through everything. It expresses in the most unique and beautiful ways in each of our lives. And my heart is made glad knowing that there is goodness happening amidst all of the challenges that we face every day in our human lives. Knowing that this goodness lifts our heart, infuses ourselves with light and love, and allows us to feel the joy of being alive. That perfect gift that was given to us, that gift of life that is complete. And I know that wholeness flows through every cell of every person right now, whole, perfect, and complete. And every loved animal, and every plant, and every part of life right now living feels this beautiful light flowing through it right now. So we remember Heidi's cat, seeing this cat perfect and whole and complete. And we are praying for Kirsten on her journey right now, knowing her perfect, whole, and complete. And only good is in her path right now. And so our hearts are filled with gratitude as we know the celebration of achievement that occurs for Tony and for John. And we're filled with gratitude for them. And in this moment of gratitude and knowing, we simply release our word into the law of truth and love and say, and so it is. And so it is.
I think you start playing. We come with open hearts. We come with open minds. We come to make a sacred space for truth to be revealed in this time. In this time. We come with open hearts. We come with open minds. We come to make a sacred space for spirit to reveal in this time. In this time, this time, we come. In this time, we come with open hearts. We come with open minds. We come to make a a sacred space for truth to be revealed in this time. This time, in this time, this time.
Thank you, Patty and Brent. A perfect way to begin us off for our talk title today. I'm so good to be here today and welcome everybody in our Zoom room. It's so wonderful to see all your faces. And if you're watching us on Facebook Live, we're just so grateful that you're with us today, or even on YouTube. And we're just grateful to be here and to be part of our beautiful CSL Leesburg community. So it's May. Today is officially our second full month online as a community. It's our 8th service that we've done online. So we're kind of getting the groove of it, right? We're kind of getting into it. But of course we miss each other and miss our physical connection with each other. But our theme for today is, our theme for the month of May is listening to the heart. And I think that's a really wonderful theme for us. It seems like these themes were created, many, many months ago, but it seems like they are relevant for us, that, we've kind of gone through this sort of the shock of it, and maybe the grief of it, and the challenge of kind of getting into a new groove. And now we're kind of at this place where it's like, okay, we're kind of in the groove. And now what do we do? Now what is ours to do? And listening to the heart, listening to the divine within us can be a really powerful thing for us. So much is going on, and there's lots of information coming at us, right? And it's hard to know what to believe. We get contradicting information and advice on whether we should wear masks, whether we shouldn't wear masks, whether we should stay in, whether it's better to just go out, whether it's, and we're just got all this barrage of stuff, and there's not a unifying message, which is a challenge for our country and for the world in general, but for our country specifically, that there's not one unifying message that guides us, that takes us forward into this challenging time. And so that's why it's so important for us to connect into our own inner guidance, our own heart, so we know where we come from, so we have a unifying message about ourselves, about who we are. And that is what we can tap into, and that is what we can trust. And so today, I just think it's really important for us to come back to that knowingness, to just be in that place of remembering who we are and resting in that. That feels really good to me, to be able to just say, okay, this is what we're doing today. We're just settling into the truth of who we are. And so the talk title today is actually called The Seat of the Soul. And I was revisiting Gary Zukav's book called The Seat of the Soul, which was written over 30 years ago. And I was struck about how fresh it still is, how relevant it is, and how timely it is in this moment to talk about, this idea of the seat of the soul and where we are from an evolutionary perspective. And so I want to touch a little bit on some of his ideas and talk about what do we mean by the seat of the soul, and why is that important when our whole theme is listening to the heart. So Gary Zukav talks about, in the process of, there's two ways we can look at evolution. And one is from a place of external power or authentic power. And external power is about, we know this, the survival of the fittest, that the strongest wins, the one that can gather the most, that can overpower and control the environment, right? This is the external power exerts control over its environment. And it's based on our 5 senses. So what we can see, hear, touch, taste, feel, all of that is what's important when we're talking about this external power, that's how we might survive in the world. And it's based on the physical experiences. And Gary Zukav calls this the five senses human, the human that's based on 5 senses. And so what we know about external power is that it can be lost, right? It can be taken away, as we've seen, right, very clearly in the last few months. We've seen how that external power can just drop away. We've seen how it can be lost or stolen or bought or sold or transferred or even inherited, that external power. We see it in all of our institutions, right? Our social, economic, our political institutions reflect our understanding of this external power. Money, education, social status, all external power. It's all reflects the competition for external power. And it's based on a sense of separation. It's based on a sense of fear and who can be the most powerful in getting what they needs. And that's very evident, right? In our world today, we can see that. So Zukov says, after millennia of brutality to one another, individual to individual and group to group, it is now clear that the insecurity which underlies the perception of power as an external cannot be healed by the accumulation of external power. Yeah, take that in, right? That's what we're finding out right now. That's the biggest glaring thing in our life, is that what our needs are and where we are today cannot be healed by accumulating more external power, which is generated by fear. And so Zukov talks about the authentic power as opposed to external power. So he says, our deepest understanding leads us to another kind of power, a power that loves me from every form it appears, a power that does not judge what it encounters, a power that perceives meaningfulness and purpose in the smallest detail upon the earth. This is authentic power. When we align our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions with the highest parts of ourselves, we are filled with enthusiasm, with purpose and meaning. Doesn't that sound better, right? It has the roots of the deepest source of our being within us. It's that seat of the soul. And so what we know, that when evolution is happening, when we're moving from the 5 sensory human, which is based on external power, to what Zukov calls the multisensory human. The multisensory human, which understands the need of the physical world, that absolutely engages in these 5 senses, but there's something more. There's an understanding of connection, of presence, of power, that we are participatory in this evolutionary process. And so Zukov talks about, he says, from the perspective of the 5 sensory humans, we are alone in the universe that is physical. We're separate from it, right? And all we're trying to do is manipulate it and gain control from it. He says, from the perspective of the multisensory human, we are never alone. And the universe is live and conscious and intelligent and compassionate. I can tell you that's a message that I need to remember today, right? It's a message that I'm, yeah. Even when I watch the news and I see what's going on, when I can remember that, when I can tap into that divine truth, that I am a member of this universal consciousness that is alive and intelligent and compassionate, when I can connect into that, I move from a different place. I create from a different place. And so it's so important for us, as we start this month of listening into the heart, of listening to the divine wisdom within, that we know what that is. We know where that comes from. And so that's why it's so powerful for us to just reground and come into that alignment with who we are, recognizing this inner power and this presence that is our true nature and is inseparable from the divine. And that is our soul. So let's talk about what the soul is. Now, Dr. Ernest Holm did not help us out on this situation, because he has a whole different definition of what the soul is, and it can be very confusing. So Dr. Holmes, I think in some way of trying to, I don't know what, there's a whole thing I could tell you about why I think he did that, but he talks about the soul as law. as spirit, soul, body. It's the Trinity. So he had the divine that moves through the creative process and creates a physical. And he called it the soul, which is not the way I'm using it at all today. So, so just know, when I teach this idea, I set aside that, whenever he says soul, just think law, and you'll be good. So I'm not using that definition. I'm using the definition that Zukov has. And so what he says is that our soul is the part of you that is immortal. Your soul is the part of you that is immortal. He says that the soul is the part of you that existed before you were born and that will exist after you die. It's the highest, most noble part of yourself that you can reach. It's that divine essence. So Dr. Holmes would talk about that divine essence within, that spark. He talks about, I quote him often about that place within you that can never be harmed, can never be sick, that is always whole, that is always perfect. This is the expression of the soul. And this is the divine essence that we want to tap into, that we want to come from, to connect with. And when we do that, we get clarity about what our purpose is, because the soul is here to create. It expresses. And so there's something within us that is here to express in the world. I like what Marianne Williamson says about this when she was talking about what the soul is. She says, for me, it's the truth of who we are. The light, the love, which is within us, goes by different names, but the truth of us, it's the truth of us. Michelangelo said when he got a statue that he would go up to the quarry and get a big piece of marble. And the way he imagined it, God had already created the statue, and it was his job was just to get rid of the excess marble, kind of chip away to find the beauty in that marble. So that's what we're like. Inside is the being that God has already created. Some call it the Christ, the Buddha mind, the Shekinah, the light, the soul. Our job is to get rid of this excess, useless fear, thought forms of the world that actually hide the light of the soul. So this is what we're talking about today around when we talk about the seat of the soul, this divine presence within. And it's based in this idea of oneness, not in separation. So Zukov talks about this again when he says, from the perception of the five-sensory human, from place of separation, we are alone in the universe, that it is physical. And from the perception of the multisensory human, we are never alone, right? From the perception of the multisensory human, the physical world is a learning environment that is created jointly by the souls that it shares. And everything that occurs within it serves our learning. From the perception of the five-sensory human, intentions have no effect. The effects of actions are physical, and not all action affects us or others. This is the important part. From that place of separation, our intention doesn't create. The only thing that creates is our physical action on the physical world, using all our senses. But from the perception of the multisensory human, from the seat of the soul, the intention behind an action determines its effect. Every intention affects both us and others, and the effects of the intentions, Zukov says, extend far beyond the physical world. This is an extraordinary idea that we have slowly been evolving into. I've talked a lot about this, about we're the first beings to know that we have control of how we evolve. And it's because we have the ability to create intention, to use our consciousness, to expand it, to be able to create from this place of oneness and connection, and that we understand how powerful our intentions are, our thoughts are, our beliefs are, and how they not only affect us, but they affect all of us, and they affect everybody, they affect the world, because we are these multisensory beings, because we are connected in oneness. And so Zukov says, your soul is not passive or a theoretical entity that occupies a space in the vicinity of your chest cavity. It's not a passive thing. It is positive, a purposeful force of the core of your being. It is the part of you that understands the impersonal nature of the energy dynamic in which you are involved, that loves without restriction and accepts without judgment. Boy, I need to hear that. You guys need to hear that too. Yeah. There is this place within us. It's not just this passive thing. It's a dynamic energy that loves, that is accepted without judgment, that is connected to the world. It is the very oneness. And when we can tap into that, then our individual personality shows forth. Our individualized expression of the larger soul, because we know we're all connected to this divine spirit, this divine energy, and our specific soul is only our individual expression of that. But we have an individual expression so that we can create in our unique, beautiful, powerful way. That's what authentic empowerment is. It's the alignment of our personality with our soul. It's the alignment of our purpose, that divine essence, connected with our individual personality to express out in the world. So how do we do that? What do we do with all that? I mean, today it just really is about a practice of coming into that remembrance, just remembering into it. But there's this understanding that when we do this, this affects the whole world, because the soul is a reflection of the spirit, of the divine. Emerson called it the oversoul, and I love this quote from him. He says, "We live in succession, in division, in parts and particles. Meantime, within man is the soul of the whole." Listen to this: the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. And this deep power in which we exist, and whose beatitude is all accessible to us, is not only self-sufficing and perfect in every hour, but the act of seeing and the thing seen, the seer and the spectacle, the subject and the object are one. It's Ralph Waldo Emerson talking about our oneness, talking about this sense of our soul is the reflection of the divine, our own individual divine. And so Gary Zukav, I love this image that he gives. He says, so rather than a soul in the body, rather than we just know that there's this essence within us that is perfect, whole, and complete inside us, he says, rather than a soul in the body, become a body in the soul. Become the expression of the soul. Reach for your soul. Reach even further. The impulse of creation and power is authentic. And he explains it this way. He gives an analogy, and I love this analogy of it's like an hourglass. The hourglass point, that middle part, is the energy between spirit and matter. That's the seat of the soul, that place. And this is kind of where maybe Ernest Holmes can come back into it, because it's that middle creative place, the spirit moving into form. And there's this place that is the essence just before it moves into physical expression. That is the soul expressing out into the world. And what does it mean for us to touch into that space? What does it mean for us to realize that divine within us, that it connects the divine to the physical form? So as we begin to look at how it is we listen to our heart, it's this authentic idea of what it means to express as a soul. What does it mean to realize our oneness and our connection and our aliveness? And this is the question. Gary Zukav asked this question, and it kind of can help you see where you are with either a sense of separation or a sense of unity. And he says, are you comfortable with the thought that the universe is alien and dead and no more than your 5 senses can detect? No. And so he goes on and he says, how does your heart respond? Let's feel into your heart in this moment. How does your heart respond to the thought that the universe is alive and compassionate, and that with it and with other souls of great power and light, you learn the process of co-creating the reality that you experience? How does your heart feel in this moment? When you listen to your heart, how does it feel? to know that this is a compassionate, alive, connected universe, and that we, our individual expression as that soul, has a unique way of contributing to our reality, contributing to who we are. And if it's not the time in our world to remember that, I don't know whenever is going to be, that this is the moment that we are awakened to that external power and how it does not serve us. It will not save us. You know, I saw a picture, a photo. It was actually taken in 2015, but it's a NASA photo, and it's a rare photo where the satellite or the space station or whatever it was at the time was the moon was between the Earth and the satellite, and just the way the sun was, you know, however it was working, they got this amazing photo of the dark side of the moon up against this beautiful marble, blue marble. And, you know, we never see that side of the moon because the moon doesn't rotate. It's, you know, connected by the tidal waves. And so we only see the same side of the moon from Earth. And the only way we can see that dark side of the moon is from a new perspective, is from outside. And we can see that dark side. And I think that's just an amazing analogy for us in this moment of where we are in our life, that if we stay in this 5 senses, this connection, you know, where we are separate, we never see that new view, that we have to stand back and look down and be able to see that dark side of what is being expressed in our world. And that's okay. It's good for us to do that. And to realize that this moment in history is a time for us to act from our deep place of the divine connection of who we are. Jean Houston says this about the soul. She says, I believe that the soul is the essence of who and what we are. I personally believe that it transcends our leaving this mortal coil. And I think it comes with codes and possibilities and the next layers of who and what we may yet to be. It is often a pain in the neck because it says, wake up. It's time to wake up. Don't go to sleep. I think it is also the lure of our becoming. That's what I think the soul is. And that's the message of the soul today. Wake up. Wake up. Remember who you are, even in all of this challenge in our world. And we know that we don't deny that challenge in the world, that it's painful. There's grief, there is struggle, there is fear, and that is that human experience. And we honor and we love that part of us that is feeling that. We honor and we love it, and we move through it, and we get support and we get help, and we work with each other and we pray about it. And there is something within us that can never be hurt, never be sick, that knows the truth of who we are. And that when we come from that place, we are multisensory beings. We are co-creators with this compassionate, loving, alive universe to create something new in our world. That's the place we are. That's that place in that hourglass, in that moment. That's where we are, ready to bring forth the divine truth of who we are into physical reality. So there's some simple homework this week for you. And it's simply to remember your soul. This week, as you hear the challenges, as you see the statistics rise or lower or whatever they're doing, as you feel into the fear or the challenges that other people are feeling, stop and breathe and remember your soul. Remember that divine essence. Wake up to the divine essence within you that is bigger than this moment that we're living in. And then act from that place. And maybe that act is just to breathe. Maybe that act is just to remember that the others that are the most challenging for right now have forgotten who they are, who don't remember this divine essence, who don't even have a clue of the sense of aliveness. That's what our homework is today. That's what grounds us and creates this foundation for the work ahead, for being the creative, powerful, authentic, empowered expression of the divine that we each are. Let's deepen into that now with our prayer and our meditation and our spiritual practice together. All right. So I just breathe in, breathe down deep into my very soul, that place that I know that is never harmed, is never sick, never fearful. It is the divine expression of the One. And I recognize that within me because I see it all around me, that I know that there is only one. There's only one divine presence. There's only one life. There's only one essence. And so I know that I am an expression of that one. I am a powerful expression of the one life that lives and moves and has it being through life itself. It's from this place that I just know this divine truth for each person within the sound of my voice, with sitting in our Zoom room or on Facebook, that there is a divine essence within each of us, a unique, unifying expression of the one that lives and moves and has its being. And it's from this empowered place, this authentic, empowered expression of the divine, that we move forward into our world in love and in compassion and with intention and clarity. We are so needed in this world right now. And so at this very moment, you are sitting in this space, just feeling, just drop right now into that heart space and remember who you are. Just in this moment, in a moment of silence, drop into that space and remember who you are. And as you remember who you are, allow that energy to spill out, that loving essence to spill out into our virtual room, to those you know are sitting next to you, connected to this Zoom room, but also those on Facebook or those who might be watching later. Just allow that energy to spill out and bless all life. And then allow that to expand, to ripple out into, from our homes to our cities, our towns. Let us spend a moment right there in the capital, and all the lawmakers and all that divine energy that moves through them as well. They are each expressions of the one. So we just know that the highest and best is unfolding and expressing through them as they create safety and health, as they lift us up, as they move into a unifying message of hope and love and unity and connection. Let us expand and visualize that beautiful earth, beautiful marble, and how beautiful it is right now, how clear it is, how the air is clear, the water is clear, and the animals are thriving, the oceans are restoring, the breath, the very breath of life is becoming clearer. So we know that we can take this moment of awareness of this beautiful moment in time of environmental health, and we can not go back to sleep. We can stay awake as we do what is ours to do to create a loving, connected, one universal energy and life itself. So let us breathe back into this space, into your own bodies. Place a hand over the heart and just feel into that gratitude for this beautiful community where we can love and support and celebrate each other, for all those that this new way of being is connecting us to others that may have never found us, that connect to us in a new and powerful way. Let us give thanks for our own understanding of the divine and how powerful we are in the creation of something new. I am speak from this place of gratitude as I release this word into that law, knowing that it is already done. And let us just know this together by saying, "It's so, it is. So we let it be." And Brent and Patty are gonna sing for us.
That's how it goes.
I'm in love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest with the peace of God within me. Everything, everything praises God within me. I know with the mind of God within me. I pray with the faith of God within me. I trust with the power of God within me. Everything, everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, full of beauty and amazing grace. I am. I laugh with the joy of God within me. I shine with the light of God within me. I am who I am, 'cause the God within me. Everything, everything praises God. I am who I am, 'cause the God within me. Everything, everything praises God within me.
Thank you, Patty and Brent. I joked with Robert the other day, we need a soundtrack of applause afterwards, so some applause. Okay, so this is our time of sharing our gifts. As you know, our expenses continue to go on, even though we're virtual, and we're so grateful for sharing of your gifts and sharing this abundant life that we live. And we've added a few extra ways you can see on our slide here for you to support us. And so you can still text your donation. All you do is you put the amount in, and then it'll come up. And if you've already put your information in, that's real easy. If you haven't, I'll give you a moment to do that. But we also have Cash App now, and our mailing address or PO box. You can just send an old-fashioned check, and then also our PayPal info at cslleesburg.org. And if you do friends and family on that, then there's no fees. So let's say our affirmation together and just feel into that seed of the soul as we say this. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I'm a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. So it is. It's so powerful. The day in which I live. We are here in this moment for a reason, and we are powerful creators. So let's see. We have just our gratitude song. That's right. So sing along if you know it.
Well, I'm grateful for the love that you rain down all day. Yes, I'm grateful for the love, for the love. Well, I'm grateful for the blessings that you rain down all day. blessings and the beauty. Well, I'm grateful for the beauty that you rain down all day. Yes, I'm grateful for the beauty. Yes, the beauty and the bounty. Well, I'm grateful for the bounty that you rain down all day. I'm grateful for the bounty, oh, the bounty. Well, I'm grateful, 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 so grateful, grateful, grateful for the love and the beauty and the bounty, all the blessings, so much blessing and the love.
Thank you. Grateful, grateful. All right, so we just have our continuing meditations that our practitioners, Charlene and Nam Shakti, are doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've been able to attend some. I have meetings on Tuesday and Thursday morning, but I got to go to Charlene's, and it was really great. It's really a wonderful opportunity to stay connected, and I'm so grateful for our beautiful practitioners who are showing up and supporting our community in such a beautiful way. And know that our practitioners and I are also here for prayer support, and we can certainly connect with you and do prayer support if that is needed as well. So, all right, it's our time of our pearls, what you might be taking home with you this week. What would you like to share? I always love hearing from you all. And so, who would like to share? We can go back to our gallery view so we can see each other, at least on Zoom. If you're on Facebook, you can type in something, a pearl as well.
I got one.
Go ahead,
I
Grandpa.
like the really intrigued by that first idea at the beginning of your talk about the external power. I don't know if that's the word you used. The five senses, and then the soul power, or authentic power. Yeah.
Authentic power. Yeah.
So I'm going to dig up that book somewhere in the basement and read it. It's Aaron's book. I've never read it, so.
Yeah, it was one of the first spiritual. It was one of those, you know, the beginning. You're first on your journey, and you're like, oh, cool, you know.
And 1989 is when he wrote it. And I was, because oftentimes I'll pick up those books and I'm like, yeah, that's not quite. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so pertinent. And, you know, evolution, 30 years isn't long. It's a drop in the hat for evolution. So he's still talking about this process that we're beginning to go into now. So thank you guys. Who else?
Ah,
Here's
she
Renee's.
found hers.
Got hers. So, Robert, did you have something you were going to say? Oh, we can't hear you. I'm having a hard time with that mic today. Well, we'll let Tamara talk, and then maybe you can come back and figure out the mic. You just have to get closer to it, I think. Anyway, go ahead, Tamara.
First of all, I'm going to have to get a bigger notebook because I took so many notes. But I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Dan said. And then I drew a little smiley face with the note, we are evolving into multi-sensory beings. And I thought, oh, that's like good news. Yay, it's so nice to hear some good news. So thank you.
Thanks, Tamara. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you don't have to worry about forgetting your journal, right? Coming to church, you got it right there with you. All right, Robert, we'll try you again. Can you share? You have to get close to your mic. Oh, you're typing. All right, he's typing.
Hey, I have something. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I love that when you create, you have an intention from the soul level that it's effective. But when you have that Otherwise, it's just busy work. I think I heard you saying you're just rearranging ships on the Titanic, kind of. Sorry, the lawn chairs on the Titanic, kind of thing. Is that what is that what you were kind of saying?
Yeah. Well, that it just doesn't have any. It doesn't matter what your intention is, right?
Right.
It's just, you just
Behavior.
Working with the physical senses.
So you could be like on a treadmill or something, just not going anywhere. I like that. That makes sense to me. So that's why Ernest has us connect to the one, so that from that space you can then speak your intention. Otherwise, you're just in the wind.
Bingo. So Robert likes my new backdrop. So it's not a green screen. All right. Anything else? Karen? Yeah.
I really appreciated the history lesson about Michelangelo and going to find the stone and knowing that God had already created the statue and that it was his job to get rid of the excess. And that just was a perfect analogy or crystallization for me of everything that we're doing. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, good idea. All right. Kristen.
Yes, I appreciate this talk, and it kind of piggybacks on what I heard Lynn McTaggart talk about this week, which was holding a crystal clear sort of intention about capitalism, that a new capitalism that will come out of this, that we want to see. And so like really visualizing and coming up with a clear picture of what that capitalism could look like. And I think this is that talking about that soul, that hourglass coming out, like what's going to come out of this? How can we work together to collectively envision a world that works for everyone? If it's a new capitalism, a new democracy, a new political process, a new form of healthcare, whatever that is, a new appreciation for people. Let's really visualize that and hold on to that as we, do our prayer work and do our meditations. Have that crystal clear that idea in your being, because this is what we're called to do right now as sort of like the lighthouse workers, like we're bringing that light to that situation. And so let's keep that light shining.
Mm-hmm. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Kristen.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right. I just want to say that you look lovely. You've got a new setup today. She's set up in the bedroom instead of the living room, and the lighting's better, and the backdrop, that's real. That's no green screen, baby. That's the real deal. No phasing like when Aaron gets eaten up by the tree every once in a while. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. That was my pearl for today.
Thank you. Good. My cat almost knocked over my Buddha this morning, but Char, did you have something else you want to say before we close up? Okay. All right. So Dan, I was going to have Dan and Aaron sing us out, but that's okay. We can do that another time. Patty and Brent are going to sing us out.
Yay!
God is my help in every need. God does my every hunger feed. God walks beside me, guides my way through every moment of the day. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know that God is, and all is well. Now I am wise, now I am true, patient, kind, and loving too. All things I am can do and be through Christ the truth that lives in me. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know that God is, and all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is. There's always gonna be enough, 'cause God is, and all is well. God is my health, I can't be sick. God is my strength, unfailing quick. God is my all, I know no fear. 'Cause God in love and truth is here. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever we go, God is. Let everybody know that God is, and all is well. Whenever we give, God is. Whenever we love, God is. There's always gonna be enough, 'cause God is, and all is well. All is well. All is well. 'Cause God is.
All right. Thank you. All is well. God is. All right. So place your hand over your heart and just say, I'm love.
I'm love.
Look around, and if you're on Facebook, just imagine all the people you love and say, you are love.
You are
You are
love.
All love, guys. Do some love sprinkles. Have a great week. All right. And if you want to hang out on Zoom for a few minutes, a little bit, and we have a little coffee time and check in with each other, that's great as well. So hopefully